All right, hello everyone. Today is Wednesday, February 25th, 2026. I'm not quite sure what the title of this video will be just yet, but in the description box below I may put a link for your reference. But I want to bring to your attention something that I find upsetting, and it's just a sign of where things are going in society and definitely here in the United States of America. And this is revolving around Airbnb, but again, it's an indication of what direction things are going. So, you may be new to the channel, but I'll just give you a brief history. So I spent a good 3 or more years majoritively homeless, transient, and I was in motels, hotels, and Airbnbs. And for the first, I don't know, maybe year or so, it was more so motels and hotels, but then the Lord led me increasingly to start staying at Airbnbs. And from what I can tell, many countries, if not all over the world, people are just increasingly becoming homeless now because the third seal has been opened and the cost of living is rising. You're probably going to see more and more people, living in motels, hotels, Airbnbs, and so forth. Well, as an apostle, as a missionary, the Lord moves me around from time to time. And so now, although I did get my financial breakthrough, etc., the Lord does have me intentionally become homeless at times when He wants me to go on certain assignments and just transition to a different geographic place. And so at the end of this month, in a few days, I'll be becoming homeless again, and I'll be moving around Airbnbs for a little while until the Lord plants me somewhere else. And so I went ahead and I made a bunch of reservations ahead of time with Airbnb. And because I have an old phone, I have an iPhone 7, I think it is. A lot of these apps don't function on my old phone. So if you're like me, where you're avoiding getting a new phone because of the technology that you don't want, that won't work on your phone. And so that's the case with Airbnb. Their app does not function on my phone, and the only way I can access their website is via my computer, my laptop computer. So a few days before my reservation, if I know that I'm going to be traveling across the country and so forth, I will message my host ahead of time in advance on Airbnb through their messaging on their website. And I will inform them that, this is the situation with my phone. The app doesn't work on my phone because it's so old. I can only access the website via my laptop. And when I'm driving across the country, obviously my laptop will be shut down. And therefore, if you need to reach me as the Airbnb host and me as your Airbnb guest, then you're going to have to reach me via my phone. And so I provide my phone number, which I thought was included with my reservation information. And I'm pretty sure that it was. I don't know when they made this new development, but apparently there's a new development that now, instead of giving Airbnb hosts and guests each other's phone numbers, apparently what they're doing, and I'm convinced, I'm pretty sure that it's tied in with artificial intelligence. They are assigning both the guest and the host temporary phone numbers, like fake phone numbers. And those phone numbers expire apparently 2 days after the end of the reservation. When the reservation expires, those phone numbers are good for about 48 hours, give or take. And I have a link that they sent me after I called their customer service today. They sent me a link about it. So I'll put that in the description box below. You can reference that on their website. But when I messaged my host, what was the catalyst for me calling their customer service number today was I messaged them the normal protocol that I go through of just informing them of the situation with my phone and giving them my phone number. It hid my phone number. So it prompted a pop-up window, and the pop-up window informed me that they would be hiding my phone number in the messaging, and that they would simply put a button instead that the host could click on the button to call me. And I was like, what is all this? This is unnecessarily convoluted, unnecessarily complex. I just don't like the feel of it, you know? So I called to find out what is all this, you know, and get myself educated on it, number one, but number two, to give them some perspective that, you know, not all of us have new phones. Some of us have really old phones and the apps don't work. And so, you know, we normally give out our phone number to the host to say, hey, if you need to reach me, you can call or text. You know, that this, I'm sure I'm not the only one in this situation, you know? And, you know, I didn't expect them to like reroute their entire company policy because of me, but I just wanted to get educated and just give them some insight in case they weren't aware. And this is where I found out inadvertently that they are not only hiding the phone numbers in the messaging and putting this stupid unnecessary button, but they are assigning these fake, false, temporary phone numbers to both the guest and the host. And for me, I see this as a problem from a guest's point of view, and maybe from a host's point of view as well. But, you know, a lot of people that are Airbnb hosts, like if I'm trying to see things from the host's perspective, a lot of people who are Airbnb hosts, a lot of them are trying to get out of Airbnb and they're trying to sell the house or whatever it may be. And they're having trouble selling because right now, my understanding overall in the country is that there's more sellers than there are buyers and so on and so forth. And so a lot of these Airbnb hosts may be considering getting off Airbnb and turning their unit more into like a long-term rental where they would just rent it out for a year or month to month or whatever arrangement, you know. But from a guest's point of view, a lot of us, increasingly, you know, we may be in between homes, so to speak. We may be homeless. We may be transient, and we might be trying to find an affordable place. And so, and even if you're just traveling where you know you're going to be somewhere a month or maybe a few months for even a job assignment or something, you know, whatever. Sometimes what you'll do is once you get the contact information of the host, you will try to contact the host outside of Airbnb and try to work out a deal that is cheaper than what it would be through Airbnb. Whether that's for something temporary, whether that's something long-term, whatever the case may be. Or maybe you're going to go to an Airbnb that you've been at before and you want to just reach out to the host and say, hey, I was here before, you and I seem like a good fit. You know, is there any way that maybe we could work out something cheaper than what we did last time? That happened to me. So this past summer, the Lord took me up to Montana, and I took the same route back when I left Montana that I came in. And so I had the phone number already from one of the previous hosts. And I said, hey, I'd like to stay at your place again as I'm passing through. Do you think we could work out something that's a little bit cheaper than what Airbnb says? And sure enough, she worked out a deal with me. And, you know, and so I'm just kind of sharing some scenarios and experiences. Maybe you don't find this disturbing. I personally obviously do. I do not like how they're making everything so unnecessarily complex and convoluted. And I know that they're justifying it, saying that this is for privacy, this is for security, this is for safety. But in this day and age, if someone's calling you that you don't want calling you, you can just block them. In this day and age, with the technology that is on just about everybody's phones, etc., you can just block a phone number. So I really am not buying that that's necessary, you know. But I just wanted to bring attention to this, and I found a loophole around it. I found a way to get my phone number through the messaging without the AI picking up on it, at least so far at this point in time anyway. You have to break it up. If you just type out all the digits with or without dashes, they will hide your phone number. They replace the phone number with stars, or what's it called? Not stars, an asterisk. But I figured out if you send it like separately in chunks, then it'll go through. But I just find this very, very disturbing. It seems like our society, with all this technology and the artificial intelligence, they are just creating chaos. That's really what it is. They're creating chaos, they're creating confusion, and they're just making it more difficult for people to stay or remain connected. You know, like, what if you stayed somewhere and months down the road, you know you're going to be there again, or maybe you want to go back there. Maybe you're homeless. Maybe you're looking for a place to live and you know that you had a good rapport with a certain Airbnb host and you want to reach out to them to see if you can work something out for like a long-term thing. Well, now all of a sudden you're not going to be able to do that, because the phone number that you have for them expires 2 days after your reservation is done. Um, it, I don't know, but I prayed about this and I believe that God said he wanted me to draw attention to this, so that's what I'm doing. But they're hiding phone numbers in the messaging and they're assigning fake phone numbers. I personally think from Airbnb's perspective that this is basically business security. I think it's in their own interest that they know that this is going on. I think they know that hosts and guests are trying to work around and outside of Airbnb to connect and work out deals. And they're trying to get around that by assigning these fake phone numbers and hiding the phone numbers. And it's just putting a bad taste in my mouth in multiple ways. I don't like things being unnecessarily complex, convoluted, and just it's just chaos. It's just confusion, and that just seems to be the direction that the world is going, which isn't a surprise because we know that we're in the tribulation. But it's just it's making life more difficult and more chaotic and more confusing. But I just thought I would draw attention to this and make you aware. And there is a way to get around it in the messaging. You have to break it up. You can't just type out the phone number with or without dashes. They'll recognize it and they'll hide it. You have to break it up into increments or chunks. That's what I found worked finally. But they're making it just increasingly difficult for people to connect and stay connected and survive, etc., and work out deals with each other. They really are trying to keep everybody isolated and just make survival very, very difficult. And it's just very, very aggravating. And I know that God is upset about this. And there's even passages in the Old Testament that talks about this where those who are in power, those who own land, those who own property, exploiting others, and so forth. God is not happy about all the exploitation that is going on. That is just the like how society is functioning anymore, and they're not even like trying to hide it anymore. I could go on. I mean, I'm sure that there's businesses coming out now flat out saying that they're willing to lose certain demographics of business. You got Chipotle, you got Dollar Tree, just as two examples that have recently come out and basically claimed that allegedly most of their business comes from people who earn 6 digits and that they're willing to raise their prices even more and forfeit the lower income demographic of customers. This is just foolishness. It's just folly. But I just thought I would just bring all this to your attention. God is very displeased with all the exploitation that is going on. And just all of this, it has to do with the cost of living, whether we're talking about Airbnb with rentals, housing, whether we're talking about Chipotle food, whether we're talking about Dollar Tree, just little stuff that people use every day, whatever it is. Things are just getting worse. We are in the tribulation, and I don't know. I just I wanted to draw attention to this, and I believe God wanted me to draw attention to this. So feel free to post your comments below, sharing your experiences that are related to any of these topics. Any insight you can provide, any experiences, go ahead and post that below. I would love to read your stories and see what you've been experiencing. But it's like, every time we turn around, so to speak, there's some new encroaching of artificial intelligence on just our daily lives. And it's just going to keep happening. It's just going to get worse. to the point that, you know, we're all just, I guess, living in the woods or something, you know. It's very upsetting. It's very disconcerting. So anyway, I just wanted to bring this to your attention. Feel free to post comments below, sharing your experiences, sharing any insight that you've gained. And you're welcome to reach out privately via email as well. I'll put my email address in the description box below. It's April.Denise.Stefko@gmail.com. But this is the most recent development that I've come across with Airbnb, artificial intelligence, etc., that I know is affecting me personally. And you know, I mean, is it really that big of a problem? Well, it's a matter of how you're looking at it, I suppose. But I'm a woman of principle, and it's just the principle that if I want to exchange my phone number with someone, I should be able to without someone else preventing that. And so I perceive this as an encroaching upon my freedom and encroaching upon my freedom of communication. Um, it's just it's a human right as far as I'm concerned. It's a human right to be able to communicate and connect with someone via my own free will, and they are preventing me from sharing my phone number. Again, like I said, I figured out how to work around it, but it's just the principle. It's just very upsetting. So anyway, there you go. Just wanted to make you aware. I bless you all in the name of Yeshua the Christ of Nazareth.